A Super Bowl champion.
The Green Bay Packers have won the Super Bowl.
The Packers' all-time leading scorer.
A game winner for Mason Crosby.
It's time for the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers, on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and on the free Odyssey app.
High noon, and I could tell you all the things. I could tell you that I actually really do like hockey. Canada and Czech are in this amazing match right now. My computer just blew up for a second. All right, now it's okay. I could tell you that the Badgers stunk last night. I could tell you all the things, but here's what you need to know.
It's time to talk about the Pack with Andy Herman of the Pack-A-Day podcast on the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nellis, presented by Verizon, the official 5G provider of the Green Bay Packers, on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Andy, you're also watching this hockey game, right?
3 minutes left. Canada just tied it. I thought maybe Czechia was going to win, but now we got a tie game.
I thought so too. You're locked in though, right?
Locked in.
Like we're just going to talk hockey the next 5 minutes, right?
Whatever you want. The world is your oyster, Mitch Nellis. We just revolve around what you want to do.
That is 0% true. But we got the news. Whatever. Here, I'm gonna open up my email. My mouse wants to work. I'm gonna open up. You know what, Tommy? Shut your mouth.
I love it. Mitch.
And you're
never
lucky
changed.
I said mouth.
Yeah, never changed.
6:26 p.m. last night. We all, if we're on the Packers distribution list, are we allowed to name? I don't like. Tom Fanning does a great job there. He sends out the emails for immediate release. Bisaccia steps down as assistant head coach, special teams coordinator. And at this point, the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers, is going to morph into the Pack-A-Day podcast. Andy, you have the microphone for the next 15 minutes. I'm going to watch the hockey game.
Yeah.
No, I'm just so you get this at 6:26 last night as well. What was your first immediate reaction to this news?
Well, so you guys know, like, I have my alerts on my phone set up at all times, and I usually get on this stuff right away. Well, yesterday I was, bringing the kids to and from sports and did grocery shopping in between. So I didn't see this until like 6:55. I was like 30 minutes behind, which is usually rare for me. And then I get home and I have a live show at 7. So I had to, quick figure out what was going on, and then jumped on the live show at 7 and talked about it. And then Justice and I hopped on a podcast last night for today's show. But no, I mean, there's so many different ways to look at this. The first thing I would say is, we don't know what ultimately led to this. We know that a year ago, Rich Bisaccia contemplated retirement. They talked him out of it, gave him an extension, I'm assuming a raise as well, and he came back. And this year, we asked Brian Gutekunst at the press conference, what about special teams? What about Rich? He waxed poetic multiple times about how the special teams improved and how much they love Rich Bisaccia. And then all of a sudden we get to February 17th and we get the news that Rich Bisaccia is stepping down. Now, what I'll say here is we don't know if this was some sort of disagreement as they were having 2026 meetings and Rich thought one thing and Matt thought the other. And there was some, difference of opinion, and this is what caused it. I doubt it, but maybe Green Bay was the one that kind of forced it out. It certainly didn't feel that way coming off of Goody's press conference and how they've talked about him for basically forever. We don't know if Rich had some extenuating circumstance, family matter, health issue, whatever the case may be. So I'm not judging. I'm not casting stones. I'm not doing any of that. But I will say, if this was just one of those things where he decided on February 17th to step away, 5 to 6 weeks after the season ended, I think 5 weeks after the season ended, and after 11 other special teams coordinators have already been hired and there are no other special teams coordinator openings out there, that is a really, really crappy situation to do at that point in time. So again, I don't know what the circumstances were, not necessarily judging, but if it were just I took some time to think about it, went on vacation for 5 weeks, came back and realized I don't want to come back, man, that timing is just beyond brutal.
Okay. And then your reaction as a Packers fan and a reviewer of the special teams and player grades and rankings and all, your number grades that you give out. What was your What was your end of season review of Rich Bisaccia and the special teams?
Yeah, so let's do some good and bad. All right, obviously punting was really good this past year. Punt coverage was really good. Kick coverage was fine. McManus was terrible, especially in key moments when they needed him most, and worked through some injuries probably, which was at a disadvantage to the team in the middle of the season. They had too many penalties, and they sucked at kick returning and punt returning. And I think you look at special teams and it gets this big umbrella, but there are so many different. There is the kicking game, there's the punting game, there's the return game, there's the coverage, there's all these different aspects of it, and it's really tough just to say, well, it all together was one thing. When the truth is, there were certain aspects of it that were actually really good. There were a lot of aspects that were really bad. You can also look at it as the fact of like, all right, what were they bad at? Well, they were weak field goal kicking. I love the way that Justice Mosqueda describes it as like the kicker's an independent contractor. Like there's nothing that Rich, yes, the long snapper and the holder can practice and get better and things like that. But if the hold is good and the snap is good and you protect it well, which they didn't do all through the season, which should be noted, that's on Rich. But if they do all that and the kicker just misses, there's not much the special teams coordinator can, should he have whispered to him differently? Hey, buddy, you got this one. Go get it. Go put it through the uprights. Like there's only so much you can do as a special teams coach to get a kicker to make kicks. And just practice it, and that's it. And you hope that they go out there and kick it. And in the return game, I don't think Goody gave him a legitimate returner all season long, right, which makes it difficult to have a good return game. That being said, Mitch, you've had the opportunity to work in situations like, say, for example, you have to work with Tommy Wartz on more than one occasion. That's not an ideal situation, right? That's not an ideal situation. So you have to find a way to overcome that. And still, despite some staffing deficiencies that might happen on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, Tommy, I love you. I'm kidding, But
I make my kicks. I make my kicks.
Yes. Despite some deficiencies that might happen, you still are asked to go out and perform your job at a high level. Yes. And so at Rich Bisaccia, despite maybe not having an ideal returner and despite having a kicker that maybe missed some kicks, you still have to make sure that it is getting blocked up front and that you're not having game-losing field goal blocks against the Browns, that you're not having an extra point blocked returned against the Dallas Cowboys, which probably costs you win in that game. You can't have a kicker that is, even though it's an independent contract or whatever, that is missing 3 kicks in a playoff game. Like these things can't happen. And so while I don't necessarily know that Rich is the main problem, I also don't think he was the solution. And clearly that has shown itself for 3 seasons. So while I wish this would have happened sooner and they could have gone out and got a better, more established special teams coordinator, which now doesn't exist out there, they can't just go and find that guy. I'm open to the fact that maybe there's still an opportunity that this thing could get better, but I'm also open to the opportunity that this thing could actually somehow, some way get worse.
Andy Herman, Pack a Day podcast, joining us here on the Mason Crosby Show. Go ahead, Mitch.
No. I just think we just need to let what Andy just said marinate for a second.
It's just going to be terrible no matter what?
That it could just get worse.
Well, I mean, they were 30
you know what, guys?
in his tenure.
Guys, I'm going home. I'm going to go take a nap.
He just wants to watch overtime hockey. He just wants to watch overtime hockey. That's what he wants to do.
Exactly. Andy, with Bisaccia leaving at this time, can we assume that it's just all Rich Bisaccia's reasoning then? Like there wouldn't have been any sort of conversations that happened with Goody or with LaFleur during this time that would lead to Rich Bisaccia stepping down? Or like, I just don't understand this timing at all with anything. And, there's been 20 different offensive coordinators hired. There's been 10 different head coaches hired and special teams coordinators as well. Like now, why the timing comes up at this moment? Like it feels like it has to be 100% Rich Bisaccia, right?
I think the most, again, this is all conjecture. I have no reporting, no inside information. And I've been reading everybody on the beat to try to see if anyone has, no pun intended, beat on this thing. And it doesn't seem that anybody really does that. So it's just conjecture at this point. I think the most obvious answer is that, yes, Green Bay wanted him back. All indications were they wanted him back. I certainly don't think they get to the point in February 17th when all other special teams coordinators have been picked over and jobs have been filled. And then they decide, oh, yep, we're out of the Rich Bisaccia business. Let's now go find a new special teams coordinator, especially when their assistant special teams coordinator, even if they wanted to promote from within, just got a job 7 days ago. Like they could have blocked that. They could have not blocked it, but they could have offered him the job in Green Bay Bay, he probably would have stayed. That was Baron Store, who went to Cleveland. Not saying that would have been the best scenario, but if you're Green Bay, you want those options at least. And now you are out of all those options. So I think the most likely scenario is that this was a Rich thing. Again, whether that was a personal issue that he had, a health issue, whatever, or whether it was just, took some time, thought about it, just don't want to do this anymore. Though I think those are the most likely. There are other options. Number one is last year at this time, it was reported that, again, Rich was looking to potentially step away and retire, and Green Bay went back to him and said, hey, we'll bump your salary up. We'll extend you another year. We want you here. Please come back, etc. I don't think this is the case. I'm just saying these are options that are out there. Maybe Rich was trying to pull this thing again. Maybe Rich was trying to say, hey, you guys, I'm going to retire. And maybe he's kind of looking for another raise, another bump, another whatever, another extension. Green Bay's like, no, we're good. We'll go. And like, he's like, hey, yep, I'm going to retire. And they're like, okay, see you later. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's that they were starting to have 2026 meetings and they were talking about what the special teams was going to consist of. One of the things that's a little bit underrated here is that Jonathan Gannon is a new defensive coordinator. If he decides to run a 3-4, that can actually tax the special teams a little bit more. You might have fewer inside linebackers. There might not be a spot for Aaron Mosby as that extra, edge player. There might be some things that actually hurt how the roster is assembled this upcoming season. There could be disagreements. Rich might have said, hey, I'm coming back, but I need this. And Goody or Matt could have been like, no, we're not doing, that's not the way that we do things. We're not doing that thing. So there could be a variety of different things, but I think usually, it's the most obvious answer is just Rich took time, decided he didn't want to come back, and he didn't, but we'll hopefully get some news of this, of exactly what happened at some point in time.
So, and then Andy, off of that, like, what is the most likely next move for Green Bay in getting a special teams coordinator? Is it easier and more to the book to hire within when the timing is like this? Are they going to be able to really do any due diligence around the rest of the league? As we know, a bunch of candidates already gone.
Yeah, so within seems almost impossible. Again, their assistant special teams coordinator is gone. He just got hired as the special teams coordinator in Cleveland. Corey Harkey is still there, but he is the assistant to the assistant. He's basically,
Tommy Wirtz. He's Tommy Wirtz. Yeah, I got it.
Tommy Wirtz. Yeah,
Dwight Schrute.
Yeah. So there's very slim chances that he's the next guy up. So internal seems out the window. Some names that I think make some sense. Devin Fitzsimmons is the Seahawks assistant special teams coach. They were arguably the top special teams in the league this past year. He's been an assistant special teams coach for them for a while. He also did that role in Carolina and Arizona in the past. So you would think that he's ready for a promotion. He's been doing this for a long time. Jet Modkins is the assistant special teams coach in Detroit. He's done that for 5 years in Detroit. They've had a pretty good special teams, not amazing, but they've been pretty good at it. That could be somebody that makes sense. Marquise Williams is the only special teams coordinator who was a special teams coordinator last year who is available, who didn't get fired. There's three other ones who got fired last year or fired from their job that are available. Marquise Williams is the only one that's available where he was in Atlanta and Stefanski just didn't retain him. The reason he didn't retain him is because he's been like a bottom 5 special teams in every year in the last 4 to 5 years. He does have connections to Raheem Morris and Arthur Smith, who Matt LaFleur is close to. We know connections play a lot of roles, not just with LaFleur, but throughout the NFL. Yep. Even though he has basically done terrible with special teams wherever he's gone, I think there's a decent chance that Marquise Williams could potentially be the guy. TJ Weiss is the Giants assistant special teams coordinator. He was the Ravens assistant special teams coordinator for the last 6 years. John Harbaugh, of course, was in Baltimore, who has the huge special teams background. That was his job ahead of time. And again, he followed Harbaugh to the Giants this offseason. Jeff Banks is the highest paid special teams coordinator in college football at Texas. He's also an assistant head coach. Whether he would leave or not, he's been rumored to have flirted with the NFL in the past. LeVar Woods just went to Michigan State as their assistant head coach and special teams coordinator. He's been the special teams coach at Iowa from 2018 to 2025. And then a shot in the dark, not Mason Crosby, although that'd be great as well.
That would be great.
Chad Morton who is a former special teams kick returner, punt returner, fantastic returner. Was actually
ace.
Yes, return ace, was a Packers coaching admin in 2009, and then was the Packers assistant special teams coach from 2010 to 2013, and the Seahawks assistant special teams coach in 2014 when they beat the Packers. You know the rest there. But he's been a running backs coach from 2015 to current. So for the last 10 years, he hasn't done anything with special teams, but he does have some of that experience as well. That would be my list of names of who could potentially make sense for Green Bay.
Does the head coach, assistant head coach position just get replaced by like Stenovich or something then too? Is that anything to look into? Like,
I would
does that
assume that there's
even
a
matter?
good chance that Harkey,
Or do they need one?
The third in command, Harkey, probably moves up to the assistant special teams coach, would be my guess. And
I'm talking about the assistant head coach position from Bisaccia.
So assistant head coach is this cool thing that we like to think of as like a legitimate position. It's usually a way to tag a title on somebody to get them more pay. It's not like they're not going to go out and hire an assistant head coach or something like that. That's usually not how this works. Now, Jeff Stoutland, the offensive line coach that's out there, if they wanted to now bring him in as offensive line coach and assistant head coach, that title is out there and they could add that to his title and give him more money. That is something that they could do. If they're like, let's say they did go the college route and LeVar Woods or Jeff Banks or one of the top special teams coaches in college said, yeah, I'm going to need something a little bit more to make that jump and to leave my current position. Green Bay has that title to use where they could go assistant head coach as well. But it's more of just a title to bump some more pay on somebody more than it is anything else, to be honest.
Andy Herman joining us here on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. Andy Herman, of course, with Pack a Day Podcast. Going back to some of those names, I got to be honest. Like I'm a tune-out guy when I hear like a laundry list menu of names, but I'm much more interested in like their pedigree, where they came from. So you led with Seahawks.
Yep.
And I didn't hear another word you said because you led with Seahawks. And there's nobody else on earth that I'd rather have leading my special teams than somebody from the best special teams unit in the league, from the team that just won the Super Bowl. What has to happen for, again, I don't even know dude's name. Was that Fitzsimmons?
Yes, it was Devin Fitzsimmons.
Okay. What like, is that a reality that like, that he's ready to take on that role, that this could be the solution for the Green Bay Packers? Because again, like everybody who's connected to anyone connected ever in their life to Matt LaFleur, I want them as far away as possible from our special teams. But if Fitzsimmons can come in here and be like, all right, you're going to give me, again, like you're not going to give me the groceries to shop with. You're not going to give me all the tools at my disposal. And I'm still going to build a pretty good special teams, because in Seattle, we just like, that was our mantra. And I know how to bring that to Green Bay. That's the guy I want.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything that you just said. As far as whether or not he's ready or not, I mean, unless I can get him in a room and talk to him and interview him and everything like that, I have no idea. Even if I did, I don't even know what special teams questions I would ask of like, what are you looking for in your return units? I don't know, right? But, certainly coming from that sort of pedigree and having that experience, that's usually how things would work in the NFL. But special teams is so freaking weird. And, they got the most established guy last time around and it still went terrible. They went the college route with Menenga. It went terrible. They went an assistant coach that on their own squad in Drayton. It went terrible. They went Mike Stock. They went, and we can go on and on. It's just been a laundry list of crappy special teams experiences. And it should be noted, I don't think it's just the coordinator. In fact, I know it's not, because this has been a decades-long problem, not just under Matt LaFleur, not just under Brian Gutekunst, not just under Rich Bisaccia. This has been going on for an extremely long time. They have a major issue with how they, whether it's practicing special teams, developing special teams, adding people via free agency in the draft to special teams. It's a little bit of all of it, and it's just been way too big of a problem.
Yeah, so Andy, off of that, then, I mean, how confident are you the special teams gets better in 2026 then? Because there was a lot of people calling for Bisaccia for many years now, and it finally happened, and now it happened at maybe the worst time it could have possibly happened when you fire a special teams coordinator. So I know they were 30th in his tenure in special teams rating, but it can't get much worse than that, right?
I hope not. I certainly hope not. I have zero faith that, like, I talked to Aaron Nagler before the season started, And, I think he kind of asked me tongue in cheek, but he's like, do you think 2025 could be the season where the special teams is getting, I said, no, I will believe that the special teams is better when we get to an end of a season and I can see them ranked in the top 10 and they didn't blow the playoff game to end the season. Like that, when those two things combined happen, when they don't blow the playoff game and when they're ranked in the top 10, I will say, yeah, they had a good special teams. Congratulations. We finally did it. Cut the ribbon and, spray the confetti, whatever you need to do, pop the champagne. But no, I have zero faith that Green Bay is going to place a competent special teams until I see it, because I haven't seen it since I don't even know when, since the Craig Hentrick and Desmond Howard days and Chris Jackie. I mean, there's been versions of it, obviously Mason was great. And there's been other pieces that have been good, but not everything consistently for a significant period of time. So I'll believe it when I see it.
Tommy, you go to special teams?
Like to run it?
No. I mean, do you have more follow-up?
No, I wanted to ask Andy that at the end, because that's kind of how I feel as well. I'm just like, this has been a problem my entire life. So I don't know what's going to change. Even if Bisaccia did stink, they just always stink at this. So yeah, I'm good, Mitch.
Okay. Let's see. Malik Willis, Rashid Walker, Quay Walker, and Romeo Dobbs.
And Sean Ryan.
All right, yep, and Sean Ryan.
And Kingsley McGarry.
JJ. It goes by JJ, dude.
Yeah.
Get it together.
Is he unrestricted?
All of them are. Yep. All those
I didn't know. I knew Ryan was. I forgot about Inkbari. Are any of them on the Packers next year?
I would say if you set the over under at 1.5, I'll take the under. 3 are gone for sure. Rashid's gone for sure. Okay. Malik Willis is gone for sure. And who's the other one that's gone for
Dobbs.
Sure? All right. Dobbs is gone for sure. Yep. Sorry. Thank you. Those are the 3 that are gone for sure, in my opinion.
Because they're going to get paid. They're going to get paid at a level that the Packers will not be interested in.
For sure.
Or they have replacements for them.
Correct. Yeah. In some cases, especially with like Walker, probably both. All right. So Quay to me is dollars and cents. If it's 9, 10, 11 plus million per year, 3 to 4 year deal, I think he's gone. If that gets to closer to like 7.5 mil or less per year, I think there's a really good chance that he could be back. I think this is one where they say, hey, hit the open market, see what you can get. Come let us know. If we can match, we will. If not, we'll wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. I think that's a pure dollars and cents one. I think Inkbari is the same. I think if his is somewhere in 4 to 5 million per year on a 2 to 3 year deal and they can get him back relatively cheap, I think they would love to have him. I think if he somehow gets a 3-year 24, 3-year $30 million deal, I think same thing. They'll say, best of luck. We appreciate everything you did for Green Bay. And then the Sean Ryan's the most interesting one. They love versatility. They love young players. They drafted him in the 3rd round. They've developed him. He's, for the most part, gotten better year over year. He was okay at center. He was an upgrade over Elton Jenkins, in my opinion. He didn't solidify the position, but he was just kind of thrown into it in the fly. He didn't get a whole training camp to play it or anything like that. I thought he was good as a run blocker. He was below average as a pass protector. But there's just like, there's probably 3 players that I think are probably better than him. Tyler Linderbaum, who's going to get just a, metric butt ton of money. That's a scientific fact or like measurement. The next one is McGovern from the Bills.
Okay.
Connor.
Thank you. Connor McGovern. And he's 30. It's not what they were right around 30. And, he's also going to get a lot of money, and I'm not sure Green Bay goes in that direction. The other one would be Cade Mays, who's a very Green Bay Packers type player. He's, coming off his first contract, had his best year a year ago. He's been blissfully average in his entire career. He's fine at everything. He's got good height, good weight. He's pretty athletic, and they're probably going to have to overpay him to come to Green Bay. And to me, he'd be like the Aaron Banks of 2026. I don't love it. Whereas if you could get Ryan a little bit cheaper, I think it probably makes more sense just to stick with that. But how comfortable are we if Ryan is the resigning and Walker leaves and all of a sudden it's just Jordan Morgan at left tackle, Aaron Banks at left guard, Sean Ryan at center, Belton at right guard, and Zach Tom at right tackle? That was a line that, I know Tom was injured for the majority of the year, but that was a line that didn't get the job done for the most part, other than you're now putting Morgan in for Rashid Walker. Do you feel confident that they can take a step with just those 5 guys returning? I think that's a fair question to ask.
I kind of do. And maybe I'm wearing my green and gold glasses. I don't necessarily think I am. Like, healthy. if everybody's healthy and everybody knows their job coming into training camp, people aren't getting moved around to different positions. People aren't getting, like, if you know your job, I think the mental load of that is so much better than I'm fighting for this position, but I'm also the backup of this position. I'm also over here, and I don't know exactly what's going on. I feel like that mental load of knowing what your role is coming into training camp. And if, again, like, health is always the wild card. But then if your 5 guys stay healthy, I do worry about depth. And obviously they can, they'll take a guy in the draft and maybe they'll sign a backup guy and they've got a couple backup guys there who can probably be backups.
Don't sleep on Travis Glover. I think they like Travis Glover, who was out all of last year, who I think was going to probably have a more prominent backup role for them, can play some tackle, can play some guard, mammoth human being. I think they like him. I think he'll be a top backup next year.
Last one I got for you, Andy, cut candidates. It's coming up here, and we saw the Dolphins fire sale a lot on Green Bay. I think we got a couple names that jump off the page. Anyone surprising, though, either?
No, there's 4, and I think one is a no-go. Aaron Banks would be the one. I don't think they're going to release him. I think they'll bring him back, give him the opportunity in year 2. Nate Hobbs, I think, is the most questionable one. They don't save a ton this year, but they do save money overall. I do know that there are those on the Packers beat that think that he's gone. I think there's others that think there's a chance he's back. That to me is a real coin flip. The 2 that seem to make the most obvious sense are Elton Jenkins, who I think is a foregone conclusion that he's gone. And then probably the most interesting is Rashawn Gary, who I believe most people just expect to be gone. I think he will be. I think he should be. But Green Bay's weird with this stuff. They're very loyal. He was a captain last year. They drafted him, gave him a big contract extension. And the weird thing with Gary, although this is a huge mistake if they would do it, in my opinion, you actually save more money by restructuring him this year than you do by releasing him. So if you were to not, and I'm not saying a pay cut, I'm saying restructuring his contract so you kick the money into the future, you actually save more money on the salary cap this year by doing that. So if you're just looking at 2026, which is a bad thing to do if you're an NFL general manager, but if you're just looking at that, you can say, wait, I can either not have Rashawn Gary and save less money, or I can have Rashawn Gary and save more money. Interesting. And so that's where things could get a little wonky. And again, we just know that Green Bay's loyal with this stuff, probably to a fault sometimes. So I think Gary's gone, but it's one of those that I'm also going to believe when I see.
Speaking of restructuring, everybody go look at what the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes just did, because that was crazy.
That should be illegal.
That should be illegal.
Okay, just really quick. The Packers did the same thing with Jordan Love. It just isn't advertised because it was put in there ahead of time. It was an option bonus that was put there ahead of time, where they're saving basically 20, 30 million on the salary cap by having that automatically baked in that the restructure is going to take place. It just is. It's not something that needs to be announced or whatever, because it's baked into the contract.
Isn't the Mahomes one 40 million still? I mean, it's like from 73 to 34. Like that. Yeah. It's deferring money like the Dodgers. It's the same thing. The salary cap is a joke in the NFL. They will make it work.
It's not quite as bad, but yeah,
it is nowhere near as bad. Nowhere near as bad.
My last question, Andy, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. It's almost Brewer season. It's almost March Madness. Free agency starts in a month. We got Shamrock Shakes. We've got Girl Scout cookies. We got WrestleMania season. What life is good.
Yeah,
life is good.
Mean, you just put like the entire laundry list like that. I mean, I'm just like, now I want to go home and just like do all those things. But I'm watching a great curling match between US and Great Britain right now.
Yeah, Canada pulled off the hockey game.
Yeah,
Canada
they got the win. Yeah. So US playing at 2:10 today against Sweden. So big matchup there, and we'll see. Hopefully we get US Canada again, because I just want them to drop the gloves before the whistle and just like go at it, just fight.
What was that hockey tournament called? Was it a year ago, 2 years ago?
Four Nations.
That was so good. I love Olympic hockey. It's amazing. I'm looking for. Yes, we need Canada, USA in the final. It'll be epic.
Andy Herman, you are the absolute best. Pack-A-Day podcast, daily content, 365 days a year. Andy Herman's on top of it. He loves the Packers. We love the Packers. Go Pack Go. We might not always agree on how we want the Packers to operate, but we all agree that we want W's over L's. So, Andy, thank you so much for jumping on today, last minute, and starting the show in the right way, talking Rich Bisaccia and what's going on with our pack. We will catch up with you soon, my friend.
Can't wait. Thanks, guys.
All right, that is Andy Herman, Pack-A-Day podcast. Again, he is the absolute best. Joining us on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call That's all. We've got a fun show planned for you today. We've got some more Packers talk and reaction to Rich Bisaccia. Would love to hear what you have to say. 414-677-1250. Do you think the Packers special teams will be better next year? How confident are you that the Packers special teams will be better next year? Andrew Bandstra from Channel 3000 in Madison is going to join us at the top of the 1 o'clock hour. Not a great night for the Badger last night. We got some Brewers talk as well. And we're getting closer to the Bucks playing Friday night. Will Giannis be playing? Don't know. Will he ever wear a Bucks uniform again? I don't know. He's Tommy Wirtz. I'm Mitch Nellis. Mason's golfing. This is the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. This is a pre-recorded report. Canada did win this match in overtime. After taking some time to reflect over the last few weeks, I've made the decision to step down as the assistant head coach and special teams coordinator of the Green Bay Packers.
Can I pause you there? Is it weird he said assistant head coach first?
Probably for us.
Okay.
But not for him.
All right, continue.
Yeah. I'm incredibly grateful to Matt LaFleur, Brian Gutekunst, Ed Policy, and Mark Murphy for their unwavering trust and support throughout my time in Green Bay. I'm also thankful to the players for their consistent work and relentless effort to improve every single day. I would like to thank everyone in the organization for their dedication and commitment. The people in this building make it a special place to work. I want to also thank our fans and the people throughout the Green Bay community for their passion and love for this team. Coaching for the Green Bay Packers was truly an honor, and I will always be grateful for my time here. I look forward to whatever is next for me and my family, and I wish nothing but the best for everyone in the organization. That is Rich Bisaccia, who last evening stepped down as assistant head coach and special teams coordinator for our Green Bay Packers. Do you think the Packers special teams can improve? Do you think it will be better next year? 414-677-1250 is the phone number. 414-677-1250 is the Nicolay Law talk and text line. And if you say, well, it can't be worse, sure it can. Sure it can. We don't want it to be worse. It probably can't be much worse, but it certainly can be worse. And Daniel Whelan, the punter extraordinaire, will join Sparky at 4:00 today to talk about. He's going on a trip to the UK and to Ireland, which is really why he joined us. We just happened to get him the day after Bisaccia stepped down. So I'm interested to hear what he has to say about this. But it sure sounds like all the players love him.
Yeah.
Like they love Rich Bisaccia. Whether that, and obviously it didn't transfer into results on the field necessarily, man, it sure sounds like people loved Rich Bisaccia.
Yeah, it does. We heard that a bunch, and that even went back to his tenure in whether it was Vegas or Oakland back then. Yeah, I don't even remember. The Raiders, yeah. Right? You remember he had the big headlines when he took over as the interim head coach, yep, because he wrote the handwritten letters for everyone, and he was that guy. It was he is very well loved around the league, let alone just in that locker room for the Green Bay Packers. However, Mitch, I have the year-by-year special teams rankings. Just to clarify, this is going to 2013, just for a reference point, and then we can go through the Bisaccia tenure as well. So,
but we are talking some Sean Slocum years, right? Man, that guy.
What was his name? Drayton.
Yeah.
Drayton.
But
right.
Sean Slocum was just like, I mean, I used to go up to training camp, and he would be on the mic. And he would just be screaming into the mic. He was so obnoxious and so ridiculous. I wanted to smack the flavor out of his mouth.
So in 2013, the Packers special teams was ranked 30th in the NFL per PFF, yeah, right?
I hate him.
They were 31st in 2014.
Yep, got to keep Sean Slocum, though.
2015, they were 14th.
All right,
that's pretty solid, right? That's all we're asking for.
I'll take it.
In 2016, they went down to last, 32nd in the league. 2017, 30th. 2018, 32nd. 2019, 24th. 29th in 2020. They were 31st in 2021. So all of those years beforehand, terrible, other than one middle of the road year.
14th. Okay.
Since 2022, 26th, 28th, 32nd, 28th over the last 4 years.
I really wonder if you went to a Matt LaFleur press conference with those numbers and you said, listen, I know every team judges different, has different criteria and has different scales, but Pro Football Focus is a pretty well-regarded website when it comes to player grades and team grades. And these are the grades since 2013. And while you may disagree with them and you're the head coach and this is your team, Green Bay Packers fans and Green Bay Packers media and national fans and national media watch the Green Bay Packers play football and see poor special teams play. Whether it's the return game, whether it's the coverage game, whether it's the kick game. The punting game's the only one that's been really good, I feel like. But with all the other aspects of the special teams, coach, it does not pass the eye test, and it clearly does not test Pro Football Focus's actual rankings and ratings. You may say you're happy with the special teams and how they played, and you think that they're getting better. And we all know you loved, and everybody loves Rich Bisaccia, the human being. What needs to change in Green Bay to make this number have a 1 in front of it?
Yeah, that's basically all we're asking for, right?
We're not asking top 5 or top 10 even.
No.
How can we get it to 17th?
Yeah. I would take 19th. I think that also should be noted here when talking about it. You can go back farther and it's probably not as good either. Like, I mean, this is obviously a culture problem in Green Bay.
Mhm.
And you think of guys like Mitch. I mean, your Patriots, Matthew Slater. Like, there is not a Matthew Slater on this team
and now Schooler.
Right.
Right.
Yep. Same deal.
Yep.
Like, they have some sort of special team specialist on their team. And Green Bay never does that.
Nope,
right. And
never.
they don't have anyone prioritizing that. And they had opportunities to do that this past season, right? With guys like McCole Hardman and the pseudo, this was going to be Bo Melton, the reason why he makes the team. And they just continue to go away from that year in and year out. And they are not learning ever. They do not prioritize it. And quite frankly, you can't blame. I understand why these rankings and kicking, like, they don't correlate, right? Brandon McManus, if he's off, like, Rich Bisaccia can't kick the field goals.
Right.
However,
Yes, we get that.
Remember, Bisaccia wanted to bring in Anders Carlson. How great did that look when it happened? He also wanted Braden Narvison to be the guy. How great did that look?
Not the Narv dog.
Nervison is what my dad used to call him.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that.
But still, like, there's been so much judgment that has gone the wrong way, and he still didn't get fired.
Right.
He had to quit.
Because they knew it wasn't his fault. It's the organization's fault. Tommy in Bayview writes in, I would hope it would get better, but I'm not sure that the current higher-ups in the organization put special teams as a priority. They make no moves to solidify it. That's what Tommy just said as well. 906 writes in, I don't even know where that is. The problem is not the special teams coach. Whoever we get, it'll be up to the players again. They need to do better. The coach isn't the problem. 414 says, do you find it odd that Bisaccia did not get a head coaching interview in either of the last 2 years? Has his ship sailed?
I mean,
he was
he trying to?
I don't know, but he was the interim with the Raiders.
Yep.
And he was the assistant head coach here. And if his star was shining brightly, you would have thought that it would have mattered. Other 414 says, nope, special teams will be bad or same because they don't play the right players on specials. Unless MLF changes that or allows it, it'll stay bad. 920, there's no question the Pack special teams have been substandard. However, Rich Bisaccia may not be the common denominator. As you guys said, it could be worse.
That is an interesting thought process too. Is like, how much blame do you put on Matt LaFleur for special teams as well? Do you really do believe if it is a culture problem, like the head coach has the ability to establish the culture and it still hasn't changed? But it was like that with McCarthy as we just go back to 2013. So is it something in that building? Is it in the front office, or is it in the coaching staff? Regardless, they just don't prioritize it. 906, by the way, Upper Peninsula.
Oh, nice. I'm also curious about how much, like, is it LaFleur or is it Goody? And because they're siloed and don't report to each other, like, is Goody not putting the right players on the roster, or is LaFleur not using them and letting special teams put them on special teams if the right players are there? And I don't know that answer, but I'm going to let you chime in. 414-677-1250. We also have a press release from Mr. Is he Mr. Green Bay? Doug Gottlieb? Is he Mr. Green Bay yet? Mr. Whitefish Bay.
Oh, okay.
Hey, born and lived his first 5 years, like right around the corner from where I live right now.
Mr. Same play.
Yeah, Mr. Bay. Mr. Bay.
Same bleep and play.
Same play. This is the Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon. This is the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. My name is Mitch Nellis, a.k.a. Thunder. His name is Tommy, a.k.a. Thomas. Tommy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
We jumped right into the show, so we didn't get to say, like, hey, Mike, home day.
Big day.
Yeah.
Big day.
How's your day?
It's good. It's good. Yeah.
How's 26 plus 2 days?
It's
Still happy
going
birthday
all right.
month.
Yeah. Went for a walk this morning very early.
Nice.
My sleep schedule got a little messed up, I think, from filling in on Monday for the morning show.
Was that 3 Mondays in a row or 2 and you still have one more?
2 Mondays and one more. Yeah, next Monday as well. Plus I did that Friday also before the first Monday. So
that's gonna just like totally mess up.
Right. So that's probably what pushed it over the edge. But I walked to get coffee this morning at like 6, got back at like 7, and then
nice. That's a good walk.
Oh yeah. I'm getting into walking right now too, man.
What do you do while you walk? Do you listen to a podcast?
No, usually it's music.
Okay.
If I'm going to been on phone calls, maybe something like that. Yeah. I just staying busy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's nice. It's been nice weather too the last few days.
Yeah,
so
I've
been like, I want to get outside. My job entails me sitting inside. Very little window interaction. Like I just want to get out. I'm also getting into like walking before 5 o'clock now here too. So from like 2 to 5, get some work done and then go for a walk and then come back. And
that makes sense.
Yeah, that's kind of the plan as of right now.
Cooling
26,
off next week. I don't know if you saw that or not, but we're
yeah,
gonna have some days back in the 30s.
I can only bring the sunshine so often.
Yes. Yeah. Tommy in Bayview says Tommy equals genius on many languages. LOL.
Did I do something?
You're just like that. You're walking now. That you're just like a smart human being.
I try to appear dumb. I really do, guys.
No, you don't.
So that's the plan every day.
I don't know. I was going to say something that I decided not to say. We got Andrew Bandstra from Channel 3000 coming up next. We originally had him on the show because we were going to like celebrate how good the Badgers are. And they're one of the best 5 teams in the country. And then they go and kind of lay an egg in Columbus.
Yeah.
Get out physical for sure.
Think they're going to be ranked next week?
No, I don't.
Nope, I don't either.
They've got winnable games coming up. They got to beat Iowa now that Iowa beat Nebraska last night. I mean, they should win that anyway, but we'll see what happens there. Andrew Bandstra, Channel 3000 in Madison, will join us when we come back to talk Badgers. Maybe we'll ask him a couple questions about Luke Fickell as well and whatever else is on his mind. My name's Mitch Nellis. His name's Tommy Wirtz. At some point, we got to get an update from Mason. He didn't text us today with who he's golfing with today, did he? All right, we got to figure that out. This is the Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon.
A Super Bowl champion.
The Green Bay Packers have won the Super Bowl.
The Packers' all-time leading scorer.
A game winner for Mason Crosby.
It's time for the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers, on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and on the free Odyssey app.
This is the Mason Crosby Show. I'm Mitch Nellis. He's Tommy Wirtz. And the Horizon League is suspending Green Bay men's basketball head coach Doug Gottlieb for violating the league's operating regulations on Sunday, February 15th. As a result, Coach Gottlieb has been suspended for Friday's game against Oakland. Gottlieb's postgame comments do not reflect the league's values or sportsmanship expectations. The Horizon League considers this matter closed and will have no further comment. No word on whether Trevor Thomas will be coaching the Phoenix Friday night against Oakland. I'm just kidding, of course, but I know that Trevor and Josh this morning on Inside Wisconsin Sports had Doug Gottlieb on for a couple segments. You should go wherever you get your audio and listen to that interview. Doug does talk about it quite a bit. And Doug did release a statement earlier today. I'd like to apologize to the Horizon League and the officials for my disparaging comments following Sunday's game. I understand and appreciate how difficult their job is and respect what they do for the sport of basketball. I will be better moving forward. Tommy and I were talking about it during the break. I don't think he got suspended for the F-bomb. I don't think he got suspended for slapping the table. I think he got suspended for calling out the commissioner of the league. Oh, yeah. I think that's what gets you. That is what violated the league's operating regulations. You can't call out the commissioner.
Well, and the commissioner's brand new. I think it's like a week.
Right.
Like this has been the new Horizon League commissioner. So you gotta lay the law down when you can.
Exactly. Again, my name's Mitch Nellis. He's Tommy Wirtz. Mason Crosby is golfing. Joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. From Channel 3000 in Madison, Andrew Bandstra's here. Andrew, how are you doing, sir?
I am good. How are you guys? It's been a minute. It's going to be that time of year for basketball, and I'm excited. So yeah, man, I'm good. Thanks so much for having me on.
You're married now, right? Aren't you? Is that what happened in between then?
Engaged.
Oh,
engaged. That's what it is.
Mazel tov. All right, let's go.
Thank you. Yeah. So a big life move. I'm excited about it.
Nice. Well, we'll have to. Tommy, Wedding Crashers.
Yeah, I mean, sports director and engaged in the same year.
Yeah,
He's doing all right. He's doing all right.
Thank you.
Well, you said you're excited. We were really excited yesterday,
dude.
Right, Tommy?
Yeah. I mean, we were doing a topic yesterday on if the Badgers were must-watch TV, and then I'm sorry for if one person turned that game on yesterday that we influenced, because that was atrocious in Ohio.
Yeah, it was really, really bad, and it was really, really hard to watch. I think that the saving grace for Wisconsin is that going into the NCAA tournament, presuming they don't continue just falling apart, this is a team that could lose in the round of 64 or win a national championship because they're that hit or miss. And with a guy like Nick Boyd, say what you will about Greg Gard. I think it was very Greg Gard to lose that game yesterday, but he's done well in the transfer portal. And a guy like Nick Boyd is a great example of that.
Yes, absolutely. As is John Tonji, right?
Absolutely. And, you think even back to the year before with AJ Storr. Yeah. And, he's done a phenomenal job. Here's his stat about Nick Boyd. He's on track to be the first Badger to score 20-plus points per game since Michael Finley in the mid-'90s. Think about all the Badgers.
Well, we were looking up Frank Kaminsky's career. And even in his senior year, he wins National Player of the Year, and he averaged 18.8.
Right.
Like he didn't average 20 points a game.
It's crazy. So what he's doing is amazing. He has great leadership. He's been to a Final Four. The other thing that I will say about him, here's another stat about him. He's older than Anthony Edwards, Nick Boyd is. So he's a veteran. Yeah. Couple months.
Yeah, but still, that's crazy. So last night, Andrew Bandstra joining us here on the Gruber on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. It just I actually didn't turn it on till the second half, and it looked like they were just out physical. Like Ohio State plays a physical brand of basketball that the Badgers did not have an answer for. Do you think that's an Achilles heel?
Well, I think it is in a lot of ways, but then the confusing part is that when they went into Illinois, a team that's about as physical as you can get, they looked more physical than Illinois did. And it seems like this is the prototypical team that brings it when they feel like they need to bring it, and when they feel like they've got it in the bag, they just don't. And they took care of Ohio State at home. They beat 2 top 10 teams in a row. They're ranked now, and it feels like they just kind of let their guard down. And especially this time of year, that's the kind of thing that you just can't do if you're Wisconsin.
Yeah, and coming off just getting into the top 25 after a couple near misses. Certainly we talked a lot about the Indiana game and the refereeing, and if that game had gone the Badgers' way, they would have been ranked after that game, and certainly are worthy of that. But you're right, like when you're a team that's on that precipice of being ranked, I mean, they went into Michigan and won. They can beat anybody, but they can also pretty much lose to anybody. As probably not anybody, but they are not the perfect team. They have to play better than they did last night, frankly.
I totally agree. And now here's kind of a random out there thing that is one of my theories. Maybe it's not that far out there, but if Wisconsin can lock up an NCAA tournament bid, which I feel like they have already, I think that they would do a lot of good by not making a deep run in the Big Ten tournament this year. Because every year they make this deep run, they play all the way to Sunday, and the NCAA tournament seeding is already decided. They play 4 days later, they're exhausted. It's just, I think that obviously you're not going to go in there and be like, we're going to lose. But if it did happen, Tommy and Mitch, I think it could do them some favors.
That's interesting. Andrew Bandstra, Channel 3000, joining us here on the Mason Crosby Show. I don't think we've had anyone come out and say, like, lose now. Just lose early in this thing. Yeah. Everyone wants them to peak at the right time. Right. And Greg Gard, like, famously does pretty well in the tournament. In the Big Ten tournament, that is. Yes, he shocks a lot. They've won it, I believe, once. Or no, they only won the regular season. I don't think they've ever won the tournament with them. But I mean, very consistently, they outperform in that tournament year in and year out. Andrew, I think that Greg Gard gets the boys up at the right times. It's just that now he's got to put all these pieces together in a stretch and create a streak out of it. I mean, when we were talking about it in the USC game, right? How great they were looking before USC, and then they found themselves losing that game.
And in the USC game, like they looked like they were cruising, right? and then
how great did they look before the Indiana game? And then they ended up not maintaining that focus. Like, why can they not maintain that focus whenever you start to fully believe in this team? Then they surprise you and go backwards.
Well, I think that's the $1 million question, and I think that has been an Achilles heel for Greg Gard. I think you even think back to 2 years ago when you go and play James Madison in the round of 64, and Wisconsin has AJ Storr and they have John Blackwell, and they've got these guys, and it just everything feels good. And then that's another one of those games that they should have won. Everybody in the world thought they would win, and they just don't bring it. And that is a consistent factor, whether it be in the Big Ten tournament, giving them the ability to make a run. But then when they play somebody like, you bring up Indiana, I think that's a great point. That's one that was right there. It could have gone either way. But this Ohio State game, unfortunately, that's what can happen to Greg Gard. Any team's susceptible to a trap game, but it's a theme for this era of Wisconsin basketball.
It really is. Andrew Bandstra joining us. And as we look ahead to the rest of the regular season, Iowa just took down Nebraska last night, but that's a game you should win. At Oregon and at Washington, the Badgers have never made that trip before, right? Like, this is the first time they're making that trip. They did not make it last year with the new Big Ten teams. They then have Maryland at home, which again should be a win. And then they finish the season at Purdue. And granted, Purdue's good, but Purdue got whooped at home last night by Michigan, and the Badgers have proven they can win games on the road. Like, the Badgers could win out, or they could go 2-3 the rest of the way. Like, they're just we expect better than 2-3. But it's just so hard to predict this team right now.
It's so hard to predict this team. And knowing this team, they'll probably beat Iowa and beat Purdue and lose to the other three, Maryland, Oregon, and
Oh,
Washington. But truly, I mean, Iowa and, those are the two obviously you look at. But I think it's going to be a really, really telling stretch if this is a Wisconsin team that maybe this Ohio State game in a perfect world can be a wake up call and that you can't take your foot off the gas because
right.
it just happens so much with this group, over the years. And it's at a point, you got to learn. And you'd hope guys like John Blackwell and guys like Nick Boyd, who Greg Gard said at the very beginning of the season, and I don't think he could be any more right. For as good as John Tonje was, for as good as AJ Storr was, Nick Boyd and John Blackwell are two of the ultimate alphas. These two guys are ultimate fierce competitors. And you hope that translates into this not happening again.
Who's the most important player on this Badger team going down the stretch for you then, Andrew?
I think it's got to be Nick Boyd. And, before the season, I thought it was John Blackwell, and I think John Blackwell is terrific. I asked John Blackwell before the season, is this your team? And he told me yes. And I don't think he's necessarily wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to give, a more interesting take, I think Austin Rapp could be the key to this team. He's the guy that when he plays well, they're really good, right? Get him hot and good things can happen.
I just really think every time Nolan Winter has a double-double, like they're going to win the game. Like he put up 7 boards yesterday, and that's just not enough from Nolan Winter.
It's not. And, I think Nolan Winter's a really interesting, case study in that he's not Steven Crowell and that he's a little bit more aggressive, but he is still a Wisconsin prototypical big man and that he's not what you want him to be, right? He told us before the season he had put on 25 pounds and I don't see that, right?
No.
He doesn't look any different. He is a touch more aggressive maybe than Crowell was, but it's not enough. I think he could be amazing. And, Joe Krabinoff, the Badgers assistant head coach, he tells Winter all the time, just dunk the ball, dunk the ball, dunk the ball. And he doesn't do it enough.
That's fair. That's fair. I think when you talk about like it's John Blackwell's team versus it's Nick Boyd's team, we really get into this new era of NIL and transfer portal and that sort of thing where John Blackwell's been here. And so Badger fan knows who John Blackwell is, has watched him perform last year, has watched him perform this year. And then you get the AJ Storr to John Tonje to Nick Boyd. All have succeeded. All have had great seasons here, but they're all one and dones. And it's hard to develop that relationship or that fandom of a guy who's that one and done. How important do you think it is for the Badgers to continue this homegrown talent, guys who are going to be here for 2 or 3 years, but then how important is it to hit on that one guy every year? And is that a lot of pressure on Greg Gard to make sure like you're getting a 20-point scorer every year?
I think it's a tremendous amount of pressure on Greg Gard, and I think it's one of the big reasons why Wisconsin went out and got a general manager this past year, who's a fantastic general manager. He's an awesome human too. But I do think it's a tremendous amount of pressure, but I think you raise an amazing point in that the whole recruiting thing cannot be overlooked. And, in some ways, here's an interesting story. John Blackwell's only Division I offer out of school was Wisconsin. And
Weird.
It wasn't like Greg Gard necessarily, was always in on him. This is a crazy story. He's at an airport, Greg Gard is, and somebody walks up to him and says, "You got to check out this John Blackwell guy." And he's like, "Who is John Blackwell?" So he looks at his tape, calls John Blackwell, says, "Wow, this guy's awesome," offers him, and that's how John Blackwell got his only Division I offer.
That's it.
It's crazy. And, Tom Izzo, you heard him talking last week about how it was a huge miss. But the point being, when you do hit on those guys, it changes everything. And I have thought about that. It's like, who are these next guys coming up? You've got Zach Kinzinger, and you've got your, Hayden Jones and Will Garlock. But recruiting is incredibly important. And it is overlooked. And there is a lot of pressure. It's like, how can you just assume you're going to get that 20-point guy every single year?
Yeah, and all they do is look in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Like when they do it, it's the exact like that. That's where they go on most of these. It's like they have one of those guys every year.
They do.
Every year. That school is they're just feeding Wisconsin
for like 20
Badgers.
years.
Yeah.
It's been just like getting guys out of the Minneapolis greater metro area and laughing because the Golden Gophers are such a joke.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And then you think about all of the incredible talent that's come out of the state of Wisconsin in the last 10 years. I'm not even just talking about NBA guys. I'm talking about Milan at Iowa State. I'm talking about everywhere. These are guys that not all of them, Tyrese weren't 5-star guys. Like they were just missed. And if you get a couple of those dudes, you get the guys that are, Yeah,
it would go a long way. I know it's not the Badger way necessarily. I think Marquette's done a better job at that.
It's Tyler Hero's fault.
Well, it's but
it is.
I think it was going on before Tyler Hero though. Like he may have made it more obvious by committing and then decommitting, and really rubbed the salt in the wounds of Badger fans. And I mean, like even with like the Giannis rumors to the Heat this year, like get Hero back. It's like, man, I'll go and I'll boo him in a Bucks uniform. Like I don't care if his family's listening right now on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. I'm booing Tyler Hero as a Wisconsin Badger alum. I'm booing Tyler Hero in a Bucks uniform.
Me and Mitch got into that school. No big deal. Yeah, exactly. Tyler.
You want some? Come get some.
Right. Andrew, you got any comments on Rich Bisaccia? If we want to do a little bit of a pivot here. Andrew Bandstra, Channel 3000, joining us here. Pretty shocking to get this news this late in the cycle right here.
Yeah, completely shocking. And I think that, it brings up a lot of things in my mind. And in some ways, it kind of brings up Luke Fickell in that sometimes the actual coach needs to be the one to be like, hold on, wait, what's going on? In a sense, right? Because Goody wasn't going to move on from him. LaFleur didn't want to move on from him. Bisaccia clearly looked in the mirror and was like, I'm not the guy for this, right? Like, it wasn't like, in my opinion, just that he was like, now's the time to retire. And that's kind of one of the weird things about sports is the GMs aren't the ones to be like, I'm putting my foot down. And I bring up Luke Fickell with this contract extension situation where he was the one to be like, no, don't give me this new contract extension. And sometimes it's like GMs and ADs don't want to hurt their coaches' feelings instead of putting what's best for the fans. And to me, that's a perfect example of what happened with Fickell and with Bisaccia. It's the best move for the Packers, in my opinion. And the other piece of that is LaFleur needs to, make a good hire because that is a make or break deal for a team that has a lot of talent.
Well, he needs to make a good hire, and he also needs to let some of his players actually play special teams.
Right.
And there's so much that goes into this. We went through the rankings of the Packers special teams according to Pro Football Focus. Since 2013, once have they been better than 20. I mean, it's crazy. Like they just don't
really
care.
It's one outlier year. It's probably like 25th or 24th when you go back to look at it, is their second highest number. Yeah. They were 14th in 2015, and then after that, they've just been terrible.
Yeah. 24th or worse. And it's like, if you tell us you don't care about special teams without telling you don't care about special teams. Oh, Pro Football Focus, which whether you agree with their metrics or not, as Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst and Ed Policy, like there's still metrics that a lot of people believe in, and you guys stink.
Right. And I think that a team like, in some ways this year's Seahawks, even though they had a fantastic special teams unit, like they can win that Super Bowl without having to always win on the margins, right? But the Packers are incredibly talented, but they have to win on the margins, right? They have to. And special teams are those margins that could be the difference. And it's something, in my opinion, they have to buy into. I was incredibly happy when I saw Bisaccia step down, and also very shocked. I
couldn't even be fully happy because he waited a month to do it. Like this was the worst time to do it. If you were going to step down, do it 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, like what changed between now and then?
I would love like an ayahuasca trip, like came out with Rich Bisaccia, and he like went into this darkness and just realized that he shouldn't be the special teams coordinator for the Packers. I don't know how else it would have happened because we'll hear it later on from Danny Whalen. Doesn't sound like it was anything health related. Oh my gosh, my bad. Thanks, Mitch. Thank you. My bad. I did not realize that was my anger coming out there. That just got me zoomed in.
It actually fit the theme of what you were talking
we'll
about.
Clip it. We'll clip it. I got it.
No, we need that. We need that.
But regardless, I don't understand the move, and all signs pointing to it's 100% on Rich, and they wanted to keep him.
Yeah, it was that's the jarring part, right? Like why did they want to keep him? And he had to be the one to step up and be like, yeah, no, this isn't for the best.
Exactly. Andrew Bandstra, Channel 3000 sports director, joining us here on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. You mentioned Luke Fickell. I think there are officially 237 new football players in Madison. How's this all going to play out getting into spring football and figuring out, like, what is this roster going to look like?
Yeah, that's the question. I'll start with the quarterback. I think Colton Joseph is really, really special. I think that he's the kind of guy that Wisconsin hasn't had and that he can run. I think Eric Mateos, the new offensive line coach, is an impressive hire. But at the same time, like, I guess there's two sides to this. I'll start with the schedule. The schedule is obviously much more favorable. Notre Dame's tough. Penn State's probably tough. You would have to assume, even with all of the change they've had.
We're not exactly sure. Right.
Iowa, USC are tough, but you would think they would be better. Now, I do think they'll be better next year. Will they be actually more talented? That's the question. It's hard to say, and they're just kind of spinning right now. I don't know where the program's going. I don't know. It's just a weird time in Madison, and honestly, it would have made sense to move on from Fickell if you ask me.
Fair. All right, we're gonna quote you on that. No, we won't. But real quick, I do want to ask because we had a great conversation about this yesterday. Where do you stand on automatic balls and strikes called in baseball?
That's a great question. So here's kind of an interesting story. I used to be a play-by-play broadcaster in the Atlantic League, which is an independent baseball league, and that's where the automatic ball strike system first debuted.
Okay.
So
I'm glad I asked then.
Yeah. The very first robot umpire that ever existed, I was able to have an AirPod in and listen to it say ball or strike. And a lot has changed since then. That first season, every player lied about their height, so all of their strike zones were wrong. 3 years of working out those kinks changed a lot of things. And it got to this point where it's the challenge system. And to me, that makes sense, right? Because you have to be able to check the umpires, especially with the way things have gotten. And I'm glad that MLB did what they did. They didn't just be like, all right, we're putting it in. They did the guinea pig system. They tested it out. It was hard on the Atlantic League, I can tell you that much. But I think it's really, really good for the game. And I think that people will realize that in the same way that they realized that the pitch clock was really good for the game. Even though myself, I was like, pitch clock, you can't change baseball. I'm glad about it.
Yeah, I am too. I think we all appreciate 245 over 310. Like it's just
every day.
Yeah, for the same amount of action. So, well, Andrew, this has been great. Thank you so much for jumping on. We definitely want to catch up with you down the road, especially as we get into March Madness, and keep up the great work at Channel 3000. And we'll talk to you soon.
Anytime, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Andrew Bandstra, sports director, Channel 3000, joining us here on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. And not a Fickell guy. Interesting. Like
big day for Andrews on this show.
Big day for Andrews on the show.
Big days for Andrews.
And I was interested by that because I gotta say, like, Andrews is a pretty positive guy.
Yeah.
Like great energy. And then but he can call it like he's not upset that Bisaccia is gone. He's not necessarily, and I listen, this is the timing of the Bisaccia thing is the weirdest thing. The fact that he's gone, I don't think anybody's crying over that. Like he's gone as a special teams coach.
I think Tyler Hero's parents texted in, by the way.
Oh, really?
It just says still salty about Hero. Kid did what was best for his career. Changing schools seems to have worked out. he was going to split time with Brad Davison. So yeah, he's wrong for that.
He was not going to split time with Brad Davison, bro. That is the worst take
obviously
ever.
It was the best move for his career.
He was going to be an absolute stud at Wisconsin. Right. Then don't commit to Wisconsin.
Right.
Just go to Kentucky.
Just go to Kentucky.
Like, as you should. Nobody's mad at Con Knippel for going to Duke.
In fact, he's like a legend right now.
We love Con Knippel. If Con Knippel had come out and said, I'm going to Wisconsin and committed and then decommitted, we'd be having a different conversation.
Correct.
By the way, I'm kind of mad that Con Knippel didn't go to Green Bay for a year.
Oh,
How great would that
awesome.
have been?
Yeah, that'd
break
be great.
all his uncle's records
just in 1 year, even though he was there for 4.
Exactly. Oh, unbelievable. He's Tommy Wirtz. I'm Mitch Nellis. This is the Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon. This is the Mason Crosby Show. I'm Mitch Nellis. He's Tommy Wirtz. It's Thunder and Thomas with you on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Programming reminder, no, not the kicker, the punter is joining Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. That's right. Daniel Whelan will join Sparky at 4 o'clock today on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy's?
Yes.
Yeah.
More programming, Hot Stove Weekly tomorrow from
Not
5
today.
to 7. Not today on its usual Wednesday.
Because you forgot.
It'll be tomorrow from 5 to 7. Okay, so we'll have it this week. Just going to take 8 days instead of 7 days to get it.
Tomorrow from 5 to 7.
Yeah, and it'll be me and Tim. So
Okay.
it'll be a good time.
Tim and Tommy. Tim's back, I assume?
Tim is back.
Okay. Did he win or lose? Do you know?
Losing is a mindset to Tim Allen.
I love that.
So he wins every time he goes to Vegas.
Yeah. And he goes like 3-4 times a year, right?
I believe he's gone 50 times, he said.
Oh, okay.
Something like that.
That's odd. Good
Maybe
for
it was
him.
30 times, but he's been a lot.
Have I been since my 40th birthday?
I've never been to Vegas.
We went for my 40th birthday. It was great. It was like a co-ed trip. We did like big dinners, and then like during the day I played poker, and the girls I went shopping.
Rank these 3 cities, because these are the 3 most common cities that I've been told I have to go to in America.
All right, hold on. Can I guess them?
Sure.
Well, Vegas is obviously
Vegas is one of them.
Nashville's obviously
Nashville
one.
is 2.
New Orleans?
New Orleans is 3.
Okay.
Nice. Very nice.
Thank
Those
you.
are the 3 cities. So you can chime in 414-677-1250.
Yeah.
If you can go to any of those 3 cities,
Yep.
in what order are you going?
Or rank them and send text us.
Yeah.
414
I gotta know.
677
New Orleans, Nashville, Vegas.
They all serve such a different purpose.
Yeah.
That it's almost different to rank them.
Yeah.
Because it's like what you need is where you go. Like, do you want like a weekend where you're just like chill and partying? Is Nashville. If you want a weekend of chaos, you're going to New Orleans. And if you want a weekend where like you're mixing in the pool and the gambling, then you go to Vegas. Let me know. It's very different. So rank those 3: Vegas, Nashville, and New Orleans. I love that. That is a great question.
Gotcha.
I want to go with you to all 3, like right now.
Tommy travels.
Yeah, I'm about to drive to O'Hare.
Yeah.
So should we just like leave my in-laws at O'Hare and you and I will get on a plane and go
We'll
somewhere?
give your in-laws the car and we'll hop on a plane.
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. 414-677-1250. We got to get Mason's rankings, by the way. Let's put a note. Let's ask Mason's rankings on those too. This is the Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon. Joining us is Ram on the north side of Milwaukee. Ram, you're on the Mason Crosby Show.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Mitch. But I like what you did, the rank of the cities. But the only thing I'll add in there, don't go to Vegas in July.
No, too hot.
Go to Mardi Gras go to New Orleans during Mardi Gras. And Nashville is a place you can go where you can take the family.
That's true.
You do your stuff.
Yes, absolutely. I've done Nashville.
I'm gonna just add some stuff. I ain't qualifying what you said. I'm just adding a little.
No, you're absolutely right.
On top.
Ram, I've done Nashville as an adult trip, and I've also done Nashville as family trip. It works for both. Absolutely. Great.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm with you on that.
Yep.
Because stuff for kids, for children to do stuff like that. I told a person asked the phone about Badgers basketball and Packers.
Okay.
The Packers, like the last guy who was on, who's the sports guy, he said that why did they wait, or why did he just walk away?
That's what everybody's kind of asking right now. Is like the timing is kind of weird.
Yeah, and then I want to say I think Matt LaFleur is getting more control with how he wants things
with special teams
overall.
Okay.
Like the type of person he wants, and then I think Micah Parsons and Josh Jacobs are definitely in the Matt LaFleur room.
Really?
I just said those 2.
Okay.
And I'm going to say this: in order to win in sports, and I've had this conversation with Gary Ellison on the old show and Spark. You got to get some studs.
Yes.
So whether it's in college, you got to get some studs. So that means you got to get somebody to recruit. You got to pay somebody to do that. And it just seems with our Wisconsin teams, we get right there. And the one thing Gary Ellison always say that, I ain't gonna say this is true for all Wisconsinites, but it seems like if we win conference and beat our nemesis, we're cool.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we win one game in the playoffs, or we win a game
right.
in
And
that's been
and Ram, that's been the way it's been with the Packers since 2010, and we've seen that. And we've complained about that for years. I know you've been a big fan of what's gone over here, but if you listen to me across the street, I've been saying that about Ted Thompson since 2011, that they were just never willing to go all the way in. And they never did. And Micah Parsons is an all-in move, and it didn't work this year, but that doesn't mean it won't work. I think what I'm interested in seeing is, like, are you going to put a stud? Are you going to put a player of that quality on special teams? Are you going to find a special teams specialist that really makes the special teams better? Because to this point, over the past 20 years, they have not done that.
Well, let's say go back to Aaron Rodgers coming behind Brett Favre. People fail to forget that the collective bargaining agreement was different back then, where quarterbacks and players would work together at the facility. But I don't know, it seemed like they played one more game now to get more money and stuff that they can't do. So he had chemistry coming in with those guys, and then in 2 years they won Super Bowl. But my thing is, with the Packers now, don't you think on the offensive side that we need a stud receiver? And
I would like one. I mean, the question is, right, can Christian Watson be a stud receiver? I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, I'm a black guy, you're a white guy, and I talked about a dozen white guys who say the same thing you say. The only thing they say, man, don't put this stuff on the internet. And I said, okay, I won't. I'm not gonna throw you on the bus. But they're diehard Packer fans, just like you are. Now the other thing on the Badger side, it's the same thing. It just did a different type of way.
Right.
They had Frank Kaminsky on TV the other night. I was watching. I forgot who was it. Michigan State. And Steve Smith was sitting there, and they were talking to him. And I remember that run with Bo. Badgers was right there. Championship game, Final Four. Now, when you look at that team, Greg Gard seemed like now he's back to almost a blueprint of that team. But the difference with Frank Kaminsky is a better center than them centers that we probably had in the last 3 years. I'm just saying what I see.
Well, Frank Kaminsky is one of the best Badgers of all time. So,
I got him top 10.
Yep.
I got him top 10 hands down. But what I'm saying is, you're talking about when you look at this year, it's probably 12 teams that could win it all.
Yeah,
and the Badgers is probably maybe in that second tier.
Right, they're just on the outside. Hey, Ram, thanks for the call, my friend. Don't be a stranger. And Ram makes a good point about, like, you know, we've talked about this for years, that Wisconsin sports has always tried to be competitive, but hasn't really made the moves to be the championship team. We've seen that with Badger football, certainly. We've seen that with the Packers. Badger basketball made a run. Like, they made 2 Final Fours. They made a Final Four where they lost on a buzzer beater, and they made a Final Four where they led by 9 points with 8 minutes left, and almost won playing 5-on-8. And as long as Doug Gottlieb doesn't say that, I can say that. He's not allowed to say that because he'll get suspended for a game. But it's like that's the universe we live in. And, you know, sometimes when you go all in, it backfires. And I get that. But I think we would like to see the teams go all in a little bit more. And Ram didn't even bring up the Brewers. And the Brewers are in that boat too. Like, the Brewers are really, really good. But CC Sabathia was an all-in move. Since then, we haven't really seen all-in moves in that way.
Parsons? Wisconsin sports landscape.
We mentioned Parsons.
Right.
But Brewers, we haven't seen that move.
Was Zach Greinke an all-in move? Was Yelich and Kane an all-in move?
I don't know if they were.
Because Sabathia was an all-in move to make the playoffs.
Right.
Like, they weren't actually considering win the World Series with CC Sabathia. It was more, we have a shot to get a guy for a half a year and make the playoffs for the first time in 26 years.
Yes.
So
they had to.
All in. It looks all in hindsight, I think, more
but they got
because of how good he was, too. Right. But
he was already a Cy Young winner. Like, he was already a stud.
He was an all-in move. I get it, but it was an all-in move for that mindset. Does that make sense? Because it was an all-in move to make this playoff appearance.
And then if you make a run, great.
Yes.
But you had to make the playoffs that year.
And no doubt, like, he's I think he's still the biggest trade in Wisconsin sports history.
And Greinke was next level as well. And, like, you had Markham there who had pitched well for the Blue Jays. And then, you know, getting Yelich, a little bit. I mean, you traded a lot of good players or a lot of good prospects.
And they all sucked.
They all ended up sucking, which was great for the Brewers. But but they were highly rated guys that you did trade for Christian Yelich to make that move. But the Marlins were also in the middle of a fire sale too, so you kind of took advantage of that. I don't know. I'm interested if the Brewers get to a point where, like, if this year or next year it's June and they think one pitcher who's a free agent, a stud, like just an absolute stud, can get them over the hump, over the Dodgers hump, specifically can beat the Dodgers. Like, do you make that move by trading a Pena or a Made?
Some good
Made.
Yeah, no, Made is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Pena maybe, but Made is not going anywhere.
I know he's not. Or Pratt or Cuero or whoever.
Do you want to do these city rankings? Because we've gotten a couple on the other side on the at least one maybe on the other side or whatever it is.
Let's go through our text messages because we got to read the Tyler Hero ones too. Because,
yes, I did. Yes.
Listen, regardless, I'm not sure for Tyler Hero. I'm just not. Okay, you just get over it. Rank these 3 cities: Las Vegas, Nashville, and New Orleans. This is the Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon. This is the Mason Crosby Show. I'm Mitch Nellis. He's Tommy Wirtz. Rich Bisaccia no longer with the Green Bay Packers. Wisconsin Badgers lose a rough one in Ohio State last night. Doug Gottlieb suspended for Friday night's game against Oakland. The Bucs back in action Friday night in New Orleans. Marquette at home tonight against 17th ranked St. John's. I don't even want to look up what the spread is on that one. It's not going to be a happy one. That is for sure. With the special teams position open, if the Packers gave Mason a call, would he consider? Heck yeah. Let's go.
He would consider.
Yeah. I mean, the price has to be right.
Yeah.
I mean, let's get. Well,
okay, Mitch.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah.
Consider.
Consider.
I didn't know we were playing 7-minute bump music.
It's just considering. Yes.
Yeah.
I resurfaced that out on the Twitter. Just remember about a month ago.
Yes,
Mason said he would consider
beautiful.
it. WI Sports Radio on X.
Are you going to talk about Tony Clark, MLBPA president that had to resign a week? MLBPA might be good for the Brewers from Ron and Rome. No, not really. I know that they talked about it on 9 to Noon. If you sleep with your sister-in-law, is it worse to sleep with your brother's wife?
Yes.
Or your wife's sister?
It's worse to sleep with your brother's wife.
So I don't have a brother, so I don't know. But
you're gonna lose the wife regardless in this situation, so you might as well keep the brother.
I think you're gonna lose the brother, but you stay alive. I think if you sleep with your wife's sister, your wife's probably gonna kill you. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean,
just saying.
Still, the answer is brothers. Worse to sleep with your brother's sister. I think.
Alan Mosini says, I'm a food guy. Of the 3, I've been to Nashville. I'm going Vegas, buffets and steak, New Orleans, crawfish and Cajun food, then Nashville barbecue.
Yeah, food's a big part.
Yeah.
Food's big on vacation.
Crush the buffets in Vegas.
Yeah.
I love that. But, I mean, listen, the shellfish and the beignets in New Orleans are unbelievable.
From the 414, this one says Vegas, Large Gap, NOLA, Nashville.
Say it again.
Vegas, Large Gap, NOLA, Nashville.
Listen, there are people who love Vegas. And if you love Vegas, that is great. There's nothing wrong with that. Andy in Brookfield says #1, New Orleans, live music, great food, and cheap drinks. 2, Nashville. It has the live music and it has Broadway. And Vegas is too commercialized and full of degenerates and bums.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Ron in Rome says NOLA, go with someone who knows the town.
Yeah.
Nashville, Vegas, one time is enough. Now, I will say this about that text, Ron. I get the vibe I would be a one and done Vegas guy.
You could be.
I think I would have a good time, but I would be like, I don't need to do that again.
And we've been doing the show now for a year and a half. You've never struck me as a big gambling guy.
I like to go to Pato every once in a while.
Right,
I like the slots, play some of the table games. But
you're not like I'm going to go to Vegas. Like if I go to Vegas, I want to play poker for 5 straight days.
I was forced to sign up for the Spark card 2 times ago when we went because of some money thing that happened.
Yep.
And so that's why I got a card. I've probably been to Potawatomi, let's say 20 times in my life before, maybe more.
Okay.
But I never got a card. I never got the player's card. So I'm not really into gambling like that. Yeah. But I would have when in Rome, right? You know,
and you would have fun in Vegas.
Yeah,
you would have fun. I could see you being 2 and done. You go one time, but there's a couple things you didn't get to, and then you go a second time, and then you're good with Vegas.
Nashville, I think, is probably the one that really is on paper.
Normal.
On paper, that feels like the one that I would like the most. But with the amount of people recommend New Orleans to me, and Mardi Gras seems awesome, and the rest of the town just in general, little old history there, good seafood. Yeah, I'm considering it. I mean, I'll never get a vacation, but
I would tell you to eat a beignet, to take one break and just have one.
Okay.
Don't you got to buy it by the bag. I'll eat the rest of the bag for you. I'll eat the bag. You just eat one.
Am I missing any cities that people should go to?
Those feel like cities.
Those just feel like the top 3 that I get recommended.
You could say New York, Philly, and Boston. If I'm going East Coast,
I'm not going to Philly.
Those.
I've been to Boston. Boston's fine. New York also. That's just too many people. Sorry. If I want big city, I'll go to Chicago. It's right down the road.
Chicago's dumb. Chicago's so weak. As a native East Coaster, I would never choose Chicago over any other
this
big
one
city
this
ever.
one we got 1 minute left.
Yeah.
In Hmong culture, if my older brother passed and his wife is widowed, and if the younger brother isn't married yet, traditionally the younger brother would have to marry the widowed wife, aka the sister-in-law.
I don't think that's just Hmong culture. I think there are a number of, like, if you look back Old Testament and stuff like that, there are some cultures that did that hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago.
So the answer is actually sister's wife is worse.
Yes,
or sister, wife's sister is worse.
Wife's sister, I think, is worse. Yeah. Anybody want to ride to O'Hare with me? I'm going. I got to pick up the in-laws.
You should listen to Sparky on the way down.
Son-in-law of the year right here. I will be listening to Sparky. I'll be listening to Daniel Whelan at 4:00. Cannot wait for that. Our thanks to Andy Herman. Our thanks to Andrew Bandstra. A huge day for the Andrews on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. We'll do it again tomorrow. Camille Davis is going to be on the show, efforting Todd Rosiak. He's down at spring training. He's Tommy Wirtz. I'm Mitch Nellis. We are the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon.
I was